For example, we considered legislation earlier this week that was estimated to cost $54 billion. But that $54 billion was just a 10-year estimate. And at that point, the analysis finishes. But in many of these programs, and especially with regard to retirement security programs, Social Security and Medicare, we know to a very certain degree how many people were born last year. We know exactly when they will turn 60, when they will turn 70, and when they will turn 80. An actuary will tell us how many will survive, and a good estimate will tell us what their average medical care needs will be. This gives a not precise but fairly accurate estimate of the revenues that will be required to honor those promises, and something that should be laid clearly before the Congress. When you buy a car or a house, you obviously look at the purchase price, but you know you're going to pay for gas and upkeep. When the Congress buys a new program, it really only looks at the purchase price. And the accounting rules and the presentations given to us don't clearly lay out all of the other costs involved, which we, and especially the American people, should know. If we had a more clear rendition of what our financial position would be, we would all be fiscal conservatives. We would all look to lower the net spending of the Congress. We would probably be much more ruthless with regard to things like the farm program, which is completely out of date. We would probably be demanding 5 to 10 federal programs a year to just kill outright. And we would have an honest dialogue with the American people. Right now, we haven't been able to get that because, as they say, there are lies, damn lies, and then statistics. And with everyone able to quote their own numbers, the debate can become very foggy for the American people. Having an independent accounting authority, having the full cost of programs presented to the American people, doesn't swing the debate one way or the other. But it does make the two sides accurately describe what's being proposed and how it will affect the long-term future of the country. My great concern is if you don't do this, the one group of Americans who have the most to lose can't vote, and that's anyone under the age of 18. And in the end, they pay the highest price if we borrow the most money. Well, the government owns basically two people money. It owns bondholders' money who have bought Treasury bills and lent the government money, and that totals $9 trillion. But it's also borrowed heavily from retirement security programs, and especially Social Security, in which one government agency is borrowing from the surplus of another. It hides the overall debt of the nation. On top of that, all I'm describing there is the borrowing to support paying the current promises of the government next year. But we also know that the government has made some pretty expensive promises to take care of people in the future. The average person on Social Security only got 11 checks when the program was created in the 1930s. Now the average person is on Social Security 21 years, and they get Medicare on top of that. We're going to go from 30 million Americans collecting Social Security and Medicare to 90 million. The size and scope of those financial commitments are daunting, and the American people should know exactly how much those promises are, which actuaries and budget analysts could clearly present to us, and then what we should do to meet those promises. We always should rely on the bedrock spirit of the American people, which is stretching back to the Revolutionary War, is that when you see a problem, when you hear the sound of the fighting, pick up your pitchfork and run to that and solve what you think is a clear dilemma for the nation. The government moves slowly, and the Congress moves particularly slowly. Some of that is by design of the Founding Fathers. But in today's media environment, in which we have the 24-hour news cycle and the internet, A small group can make a tremendous difference because its information can be widely disseminated at very low cost if it receives attention and is respected. The thing about the Institute is it's not taking a position on one side or the other of the partisan divide. It's driving a consensus to just how we count the numbers to prevent people from claiming that they didn't know. And in many ways, we've seen a number of outside groups be able to sway public debate and then the government very well from a small catbird seat. And that's what the Institute can do. When you talk about accounting, everybody's eyes glaze over, and they may not be paying attention. And this is something that we do need to pay attention on. When we think about the future of our country, we can think about a bright future in which we are educating kids, meeting essential commitments, and participating in a growing economy. Or we can think about a United States which is in decline, suffering from very high taxes, an entitlement culture where everybody is looking for something from the government and not doing much to advance their overall well-being or those of others. When you have clearly laid out what the liabilities are, when Americans know exactly the dilemma they're in, they always have risen to the occasion in the past. The Institute can help us come to grips with some of these issues. And then we put our faith in the American people, but for 200 years they've never let us down.